Hello again. I want to talk about another article from the December 2024 issue of Psychology Today's magazine. Really interesting and brief one on cheaters, and that's the article's language, not mine, specifically infidelity. And just a really interesting study that they talk about that I think it to me confirms stuff that's I would argue already known, but I think will come as a surprise to other people. But looking at the type of people who commit some form of infidelity. So, at least in the details given here, if you watched my last video, you'll see that the biggest criticism I have of the Psychology Today magazine is they don't do a great job citing sources. They cite authors, and those authors will sometimes cite research like this one does, but it doesn't really cite it, it just talks about it. So again, no solid link that I can offer for this. I could probably dig and find it. But regardless, infidelity was not explained exactly as what that was, just some form of it, some form of cheating and infidelity. So, and what they found with this is they did a test that essentially utilized the phrasing of like moral disengagement. So, not that people don't have a moral, but that they just don't care. Which this is the part that I believe is to be more understood nowadays already, but not a lot that I see coming out confirming it. But I think when you pay attention to relationships, that seems to be the case. A lot of times people would say, yeah, I see that it's wrong, I just am doing it anyway. And if you're honest with yourself about areas that you fail, it's usually you just choose not to. You know the right thing to do and you choose not to. If we all did the right thing that we knew was right, which could mean that we're wrong about what's right, but if we're trying to act in a way that we believe is right, most people will still say they don't do that with every decision, even on a small scale. I know I should have gone to the gym today. I know I shouldn't have had that second beer, third beer, second bowl of ice cream, whatever. Those are small scale things. But even other things like, I know I shouldn't have lied, but I didn't want to deal with this, or I should have said this thing or that. Like, we know oftentimes that we're doing things that we shouldn't do, and we just do it anyway. So this is just more evidence towards that as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, they found that a lot of these partners that were cheating would still report that they knew it was wrong, they knew it was unethical, and they just chose to do it anyway because they wanted to. And another interesting part of this article, at least, was describing that a lot of the time those types of people find each other. So a morally disengaged person will find another morally disengaged person. And this goes against what a lot of people will say for cheating, is that people just get unhappy. And that's not always true. They are interested in going to hook up with this other person, and they just go do it. And they'll say, I'm still happy, I still love my partner, whatever. They're just not having much empathy towards the actual problem and their breaking of a commitment. So, which isn't good, but I think it's helpful to know. And that's, to be clear, that is not saying that these people are completely emotionally disentangled and that they're in any way psychopathic. It's just saying that there's a disconnect. And to me, this is all the more reason to have some sort of moral foundation that is a linchpin of your life. And so a lot of the work that I do with therapy is looking at values and belief systems, and that needs to be bottom layer of everything. So if you can't connect back your actions to a value, to me, it's a wild west of decision making. So if someone is going to tell me, well, I want to do everything that I believe is right by God, then I want to know more what that means. What does God tell you? Is that the same God that person believes in? Are you taking a God from a book? Or if someone says, I want to ground myself in Stoic philosophy, okay, where are you getting your Stoic readings? And they are talking about YouTube videos. I'm like, well, what's that? Where are you rooting in there? Someone else might say, well, I'm reading the Meditations, or I'm reading Epictetus, and I want to ground it in these things, the 4 pillars of Stoicism and stuff like that. Same with someone talking about Buddhism and all these things. This gets very difficult with people when they are not necessarily atheists, because you can be philosophically grounded, but when you are a mix of atheists and non-philosophical, that can just be hard to ground it, and you end up kind of rooting your belief system in your own identity, which can be fickle in terms of your interpretation of it. and what you should do in difficult situations, and that can change over time. The reason we ground ourselves in certain principles is because even if we change, we know that this is important because we've seen it to be true. Yes, people change their values and beliefs over time. People can change belief systems. We see that all the time. But when you're not rooted in anything, you just kind of do whatever you want. And that, for a lot of people, becomes very selfish and not very helpful for the world around them or themselves. And you see it a lot. And this is a very short article, but it essentially sums up that issue pretty well. So that was an interesting one. I'm enjoying reading through these more than most months right now. So works for me. Hopefully you can gain from it too.